gentlemen, welcome to the Reboot Roundtable, the show where me and two other buddies get together and we talk about reboots, rewrites, and sequels, as well as just general pop culture debates and discussions. I am joined, as always, by my main man, Jay. How you doing today, Jay? I'm also joined by Cove. How are you today, Cove?
I'm good.
You're
I can
good.
speak unlike Jay.
Yeah, I don't know where Jay's voice is gone. It's
I don't.
almost like it was stolen by a villain, by a pure evil villain, because that's what we're talking about
Cove.
today. Holy
What do
crap.
you mean? I'm not evil.
Yeah,
You
so
always say these incorrect things because you're the actual evil one, Jay. I know the truth.
you're both evil. It's both evil.
Incorrect.
I've got Maleficent and Ursula joining me today. I'll let you guys decide who's who.
Can I be the octopus lady?
That's correct, because I'm definitely Maleficent. You're crazy thinking I'm
So,
Ursula.
so yeah, no,
I mean, you could.
yeah, so Jay, you specifically wanted to like dive into this about talking about like pure evil villains. So I'll let you start this one off for us.
Right. So it's actually something. It's a trend in movies nowadays, and you see it now with the Mufasa movie coming up, where they like to make villains have redeemable. They want to make villains be redeemable. Oh, he's a bad guy. Yes, he did very wrong things, but he was traumatized as a kid. It's like we understand, and I mean there was a point where that was a good thing. I think nowadays, what's been lost is that guy's just like messed up in the head. We haven't had a traditionally good villain since like the Green Goblin in the recent Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of traditional. I think Disney is a great example because we don't get like every Disney villain in recent years has been a twist villain. He's secretly a bad guy. I think one of the characters that suffered the most from that was Hans from Frozen, because he could have been such a malicious force, and instead, nah,
Or
he's
King Magnifico from the recent.
Oh yeah, the
was it-
movie I didn't watch, Wish.
Yeah, see the movie.
Oh,
Honestly,
I
he
also
could have been a
watched
great
Wish.
villain.
I also didn't watch Wish.
I actually watched it. My
Yeah.
grandpa took me.
Ooh.
He could have been a genuinely fun villain, except they had to force in that he was, a bad guy,
Yes.
and they made him way too redeemable at the start. I was low key on his side. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how like Disney, which were known for these irredeemable villains, Maleficent, Cruella de Vil, the I just said her name, Ursula, and now they're trying to redeem these characters. It's one of the reasons I have issues with the live action Maleficent movie or the Cruella de Vil movie. Don't make these characters redeemable, please. They can just be evil.
Because then you start getting people sympathizing with the villain's actions, and it makes like
Yes.
what they do more light.
No- Yeah.
Y'all both cut yourselves off. That's crazy. I
This is
feel
a
like
constant thing with me and him. This is a constant thing.
instantly cut each other off. I feel like within the recent years, we've had a lot of villains that have been gradually becoming more and more humanized. Like, we're having it so that people are trying to cut the story both ways, where you can both be rooting for the villain's demise and be like, maybe not. But one of the best villains, to be a good villain, to be like a true villain, makes the audience more inherently curious about that person because it's just human nature.
There's
Like, if someone's truly terrible, they're always going to be more interesting than someone who is like, oh, they're awful, but XYZ, you know? Like, they're just awful because they can be. And that's human deviancy at its finest. And that's always a good
there is an actual trope that is called the Magnificent Bastard. And the trope is basically the idea that if you make a character evil enough and intelligent enough, by the end of the movie, you will be like, yeah, he fell, but he was a magnificent bastard, right? And because you can't really get the full third act breakdown, the moment where the villain just completely collapses, unless they're absolutely evil, right? You can't really get
Exactly,
that
that's what
moment
makes it
of them
good.
collapsing. I think a villain who was fun to see on the screen, but I do think could have been more pure evil is a character like Thanos, right? They tried to make him this complicated character, and I think that's one of the few weaknesses of Infinity Wars and Endgame is I much prefer And I think most people do the comic version, where he literally just wants to marry death. That's all he wants. He will genocide a planet just because he wants to marry death. That is not a redeemable motivation. That is not an understandable motivation. And instead, they're like, no.
I mean it.
Jay, well, they did recently in one of the Marvel shows reveal who's playing Death in the MCU, and it's Aubrey Plaza. And I've seen so many memes like, "Hey, I understand what Thanos's motivations were."
Googling.
But with that being said, yeah, Thanos is, like, in the comics, was this irredeemable villain. Same with Ultron, right? Ultron was originally this
The
villainous.
chick from Parks and Recreation.
yeah, she wasn't
Actually,
Parks and Rec. Um,
Wasn't Ultron created just to be this terrible thing that just destroys
Yeah.
shit?
Ultron, like, so what they did with the movies is they made him this wisecracking guy, right? But the idea of Ultron is that he basically analyzes humans and is like, yeah, there can never be peace if humans exist. You can't really do quippy, understandable evil robot at the same time as super cold calculating machine.
Okay, but Ultron was the best MCU villain. Fight me.
He was the most fun, but I don't think he was written the best. It's kind
I
of
think
what the
that
point is.
he had the most potential because, like, at least how I understood him was that he was something that was like he looked at humanity and he was like, peace can't exist, period. So they can
Yes.
all die.
And the issue was is they made him too human in the movie, which is
That's fair.
a lot of fun, but again, it's making him this redeemable character, and irredeemable villains are fun. They can be a force of nature. I think those are the times when the Joker works, is when he is just a force of nature of chaos. I think it's like one of the things that make some of Batman villains really interesting is they are just nuts. They have no morals to them. And that's not saying we shouldn't still have complex villains. I mean, we should still have our Mr. Freezes. But don't turn the Joker into Mr. Freeze, you know, like allow irredeemable villains and heroic villains. Encanto is a great example of how there wasn't really a main villain of that movie. There were just antagonists, right? But all of them were redeemable. It didn't need a pure evil villain. But a movie like Moana would have worked with a pure evil villain as an opposite. You don't always need it. And I think that's the issue we're seeing a lot right now is either we take classic villains and try to redeem them, like the Maleficent movies did, or we're only getting new redeemable villains. Even, I think Star Wars is a great example of...
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo Ren didn't need to be redeemed. We've done the story of Darth Vader's redemption, and it's a beautiful story arc, and it's one of those, like, things that people love. But Kylo Ren was telling a very different story by the looks of it. Then they changed it last second. If we had gone pure evil Kylo Ren, we could have gotten a very interesting character. But instead, they wanted to give him a redemption story, much like Vader had. And there were aspects of that weren't awful, but overall, it was loss of potential. We also see that in the Star Wars show that came out that made people very angry, The Acolyte, which was promised to be a show about the villains of Star Wars. And instead, it very quickly became a story of not the villains. It became very quickly a story of heroes, again, which I prefer because I'm a little optimist who loves heroes, but I don't want this bit again. Yes, Jay?
There's no other way to get in.
No way.
You just gotta jump in! Just jump in!
No
Cut
way,
me off!
So,
No.
I will say it's all doom and gloom. Obviously, twist villains are fun. They can be fun
Yes.
if done correctly. But elephant in the room, we haven't completely lost the evil, like, irredeemable monster, which recalls me to where I'm getting to, because I think the reason we need them more isn't because, like, oh, they're just not in society, blah, blah, blah. It's just that, simply, it works, and it's fun. I just want to see it
Yes. It's fun.
more. Puss in Boots. Cove, did you ever watch it?
I did. The most recent
Yes.
one? No. But the OGs?
Oh,
yes.
no,
Okay,
see,
well, you're a bum.
Yeah,
first of
no,
all.
The Last Wish
So
is
why
good.
are you
I didn't watch the first
hating
Puss in
on
Boots
me?
because mid.
Why am I hating? What else would I do?
But yeah, Puss in Boots
That's
Last
true.
Wish. I know where you're going with this, Jay. Go for it.
There are two villains
Yes.
in Puss in Boots Last Wish that are probably some of the best villains to come out in the last 5, maybe 10 years.
Yes.
Obviously, the one everybody talks about is Death. Death, you know, the,
Yes.
like, wolf that whistles. I can't whistle, but
I could,
Yeah.
but my auto
didn't ask. Yeah.
You're so mean, Jay.
My D noise
Anyways.
would cut it off. But yes, go ahead to the who
Such a
you're
hate.
jumping to.
So, cause I'm supposed to be the villain this time, okay? So guys, we talked about this beforehand, right?
Uh, Sorry, I
At
guess
least
I'll-
I'm the hero. That's all that matters.
I guess I'll read again.
Read the script, gosh dang it!
I'll run it back, okay? Give me a sec.
But yeah, so who is it that you're trying to reference from Puss in Boots of pure evil villainy?
So obviously there's Death. Death is a great villain, and he's less pure evil as he is just sort of
A force of
a
nature.
force, right? Jack Horner, Mr. Purple Thumb himself. Oh my gosh, he's so fun because he is completely 100% irredeemable. Cove, he has like the Baker's Dozen, which is just like the group that follows him. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't need them, and he just threw them into a canyon and walked over them.
I love that for him.
The cricket, you're an irredeemable monster.
The cricket's like, did you at least have like a rough childhood or something? He's like, yeah, my childhood was very rough. I had loving parents, a job to live into, all of my basic needs met, all of my friends there. It was horrible, sappy stuff like that.
That's
awesome.
That was fun.
That.
He was fun. He was a great villain who was fun. And it's because they didn't try to turn him into this complex character. Because you don't need that. It's just a classic fairy tale villain.
There's like two main routes that I like seeing villains go down personally. I like seeing irredeemable monsters. I like seeing characters who are just like so off the end that they're better off dead or jailed, right? You think you're Jack Horners, you think you're low-key, you're Syndromes.
Yeah,
like,
great.
Syndrome is an amazing villain. The other one I like is villains that make me afraid.
Yes.
Like horror movies? Oh my gosh. Horror movie villains are great.
The best, okay, in terms of pure evil, and since you brought up horror villains, Jay, I wasn't going to bring in a slasher, but one of the best pure villains in all of horror is this dude called Art the Clown.
Googling.
He is from the most
And
recent big horror movie, right?
He is from his
I just
latest
misspelled
movie was
clown.
released a few days ago, and that was Terrifier 3. He is a clown who goes around killing people exclusively because it makes him happy.
Let's go.
And that is his entire motivation. He's never further explained in the books besides that he is this pure force of ultimate destruction, and he gives no damns for what is correct or not. He keeps his victims alive because he likes the pain.
Reminds me of my ex.
I mean, probably.
A victim?
No, keeps the victims alive. Just for the pain.
He loves to inflict violence just due to the fact that he can inflict it.
Right.
And he inflicts it in gruesome ways strictly due to the fact that he can inflict it in these gruesome ways and no one can stop him.
And while that loses a lot of the like multidimensionality of a character that you can get from like making them redeemable, giving them the personality traits, I think there's something so fun about having a villain who is just a force to be dealt with, right?
Yes.
Like the IRS.
Even the Joker fears the IRS.
No, because my head went to... Did either of y'all watch Split?
It came out in 2016. Did not, but I am familiar with it.
I did watch Split.
Oh my head went to the, I don't remember his name, the bald guy that just started sprinting at people on all fours. He was such a freaky villain for me, not because he was this big, like, scary monster or whatever, it was because of how unhinged he was.
There's this one scene in Terrifier 3 where he just blasts someone with a fire extinguisher and then smashes them to death with a hammer.
I could see my ex doing that.
And the thing is, he approached the scene with such a tone of casualty and also just a fire extinguisher and a hammer.
Like literally, there's nothing else to this character, but they want you dead simply because like it's fun.
Yes,
exactly.
That's cool. I think we need more of that.
Yeah, I think it's a thing of
fire extinguisher and his hammer, and he's ready to go to town.
Yeah, it's your fairy tale villains. You know, it's like they get to do things that no other kind of characters get to. It's one of the things I like Voldemort as a villain because of that kind of thing where he does not care, right? He will happily murder a high school.
Little.
And that's fun. It makes him a villain that, like, even if he's not written the best, he's fun. You want to see him on screen. And it's honestly raw charisma. It's raw charisma in the weirdest way possible. And it's really fun that we get those kind of villains, and we don't get them enough, at least right now. But that's not saying we should only get them either. We're not like saying that you only need that, because like we want to still have our Lokis who become redeemable characters.
No, I think the best kind of villain is a villain who is empathetic but unexcusable. So a villain where you can understand the motivation behind the crimes they commit, however, you do not excuse them through that.
That's
Like
fair.
if
Yeah.
you're like I enjoy most like you know Demon Slayer, right, Jay?
What are you gonna say?
Do you know in
I've read
the
the manga.
scene
I'm caught up.
the scene with in the earlier in the where are we spider in the spider mountain, right,
Yeah.
where he's able to see the spider mother who's killed all of these people, but he's able to acknowledge her suffering but still kill her. Like
Yes.
he still slices off her head because he's this brutal killer, but at the same time he's able to show empathy for the fact that she probably didn't want to be in this situation.
You're talking about the one where she like when she saw that Tandra was about to kill her, she welcomed it. She like put her arms out to be murdered.
To be murdered.
If I'm not wrong, I think that was one of the highest rated anime episodes like of all time. It was either that one or it was later on. It was episode 18. I don't remember which one 18 was, but it literally had like Oprah talking about it.
It's between that and Ryu when he dies and Tanjiro still reaches over to comfort him. I like it when a villain is a villain but still a human in some sense, but like what they've been doing recently is just straight up humanizing them, which doesn't have that same level of intricacy or emotional depth.
It comes down to it's not one size fits all. Not every villain should be redeemable. Not every villain should be a pure monster. It's a play it based on the story, and the issue is they've been trying to do it one size fits all. A superhero story, like different superheroes can have redeemable villains. Others do not need redeemable villains. And there's certain villains that you should not try to make redeemable. But by that own standard, there are plenty of villains that are fascinating redeemable. And it's just kind of a big thing of balance. Don't let it swing one way or the other. It's just, yeah, I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is it's this balance between the two. So I think what we can do for the next little bit of our episode, what are some villains that you think either, like, who are like your guys' biggest examples of villains that should not have been redeemable, but people have made them redeemable?
Mufasa.
Mufasa was a hero.
No, Scar. Sorry.
Scar.
There we go. Scar.
Mufasa.
Sorry, you know how it goes sometimes. I'm a villain. I want to be on the villain side. Apparently. No, so with the new movie, apparently they're like making Scar have brought Mufasa over and like giving Scar basically a bunch of motivation to turn evil. And it's like
yeah.
He was just a Connor, you're gonna have to bleep me out. he was just a dick. Like, can we not just have that? Maleficent's a good one. She's better off as just being someone who's like, yeah, I put you to sleep because it's really funny.
Well, no, I love her. Her motivation in the original movie is literally, you didn't invite me to this child's birthday.
Bippity boop. And I'm gonna curse you forever because I'm petty.
Yes, pettiness is so good. I love seeing villains that are petty.
You're petty.
I
love it when it's stupid.
If a villain can match anywhere close to my level of pettiness, then it's a good villain.
There's a great...
I love it when they're petty.
There's an amazing comic where it's literally Thanos visits this one, I think it's this one lady, every day on her birthday.
It's a kid.
It starts as a kid.
He catches him at his birth.
Yes. Yeah. And just screws with him every birthday to make sure his life is miserable. And then as this individual is dying on their deathbed, Thanos shows up and is like, hey, guess what? Here's what your life could have been. Here's everything, all of your potential. Hope you have a nice death. And leaves. It's so petty. And it's amazing.
It's not even explained why he does that. He's just like,
yeah, I don't think it's even explained.
There was a pen and a dartboard, picked Dave, and it was over.
And it was game over. And that stuff is done all the time in comics, especially older comics. They're so petty. And I think that's something we have lost a lot of the time. Also, why is my Kermit puppet laying like that? Sit up, bud.
Okay, it falls on its own. I swear you're haunted.
Which ties back into villains, like yeah.
Herman's trying to run away, guys.
But that being said, there
Don't blame
are.
him.
What does that mean? What do you
What
mean?
I said. What I said.
Holy
Joe
crap.
Nasty room.
Oh.
But yeah, like I love petty villains. For me, the biggest one that I don't feel needs to be redeemed, and they'd like to redeem a lot. Holy crap, my brain just fried. I was a mid-thought.
Joker.
Yeah, Joker. Yes, thank you. How did you know that was who I was going to say?
You're very easy to predict.
It's the Joker. Hence this topic.
The Joker, as I did a whole episode on, but he shouldn't be a redeemable character. The Joker movies, the ones that were just those, they made him redeemable. Also,
watch the second one.
I know how the second one ends, and everyone's upset about it because it kind of implies that the Joker we were following doesn't become the real Joker. And I kind of love that because I really hate the idea of that Joker being a Joker.
I like the first movie though.
It's not a Joker movie.
I like that
Just
version
saying.
of the Joker.
No,
It was a good
but it's
movie.
not. It's not the Joker.
It was a great
It's just some
movie.
depressed man. Call it anything other than the Joker, and I would have been happy.
Shouldn't you like relate to that?
That's
no
just
facts.
mean.
Shouldn't that be,
That's
like,
just
not a-
mean.
Yeah, I
That's
thought that was like your
crazy.
thing, dog.
Holy crap.
No, facts.
I think another great example of a character they're redeeming recently is Sauron.
What? How?
Okay, Sauron. So
He's the bad guy from
Lord of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings.
Right.
Big red flying orb.
Yeah, so in the Rings of Power show, and I have not watched it, I will admit, I've seen clips of it, and it makes me upset, so I didn't watch it. But there is a scene where Sauron cries. Sauron, for a bit of context of Sauron in like the books, he's literally basically an evil, he's an angel that becomes a demon, works for Satan. Satan gets killed, Sauron takes over, and just mercilessly slaves and slaughters. There is no empathy in this man. And
I'd be on that type of shit. I'd be telling y'all, bro.
and
I'd be doing that
what
all
is
the
it?
time,
And
bro.
they're just like, nah, let's make him cry. And no, don't do that. Like some stories. Let them be evil, please.
What about you, Cove? Do you have anyone yet?
Cruella DeVille with the new Cruella
Yes.
DeVille movies.
Are they doing more of
she-
that? I know they did one. Are they doing more?
She was okay. I liked the movie as it expanded on her as a person. However, I really I enjoyed when she was just a crazy lady who wanted to cut up puppies and turn them into a coat. Like,
We've all
that
been
was-
there.
That was simply
Probably reminds
a
you of
heinous
someone,
villain,
right?
okay, like who doesn't run away from from some lady approaching you with
Yes.
some scissors saying they want to cut your dog in half? Like, I'm running.
I mean, is she nice?
No, Jay, she wants to cut your dog in half. I
Ah.
thought you loved your dog.
Yeah, I'd have to say no there. Connor?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'd have to go against it. I'm afraid.
Really?
I have to run.
She's just not my
respect
type.
you've gone up.
But with the new movie, she doesn't even want to turn a dog into a coat, and that's like her main.
Yes.
Like, that's what makes her bad, is the fact that she turns dogs into coats. Like,
Yeah,
I
we
mean-
see that with a lot of them. One of the great villains,
I could fix her.
like,
you couldn't you, Jay?
like,
No, she would turn me
or
into a
like
goat.
Cinderella's like stepmother obviously should be evil. That old woman is terrifying compared to some of the redeemable villains they've made that are like objectively scarier looking.
No, because Cinderella's stepmother is straight up an abusive stepmother.
Yes!
That's all she is.
Yes,
That's all
and didn't
she
they
is.
try to make her somewhat redeemable in the live action Cinderella movie?
They did, and all like that is a awful woman. That is a witch. And, like,
Or the Queen of Hearts from Alice in
How
Wonderland.
are they gonna make her redeemable?
Well, they tried in the sequel to the movie where they were like, yeah, no, it's not her fault that her head's big and that's why she wants to murder people. It's like,
I was
It's the
called
same
bobblehead
thing
as a
in the
kid.
Descendants turning red. They do the exact same thing. As
oh,
Queen of Hearts.
don't get me started on the Descendants films, okay? That whole franchise is, yeah,
Such
but
an issue.
what if they
Well,
were
that is a-
redeemable?
Problem.
That is a memory I was not prepared to remember.
What, Descendants?
Yeah, I didn't remember that I watched any of those.
No,
All four of
the-
them.
all-
Every single
There
one
were 4 of them. I thought there were only 3. Are there
Yes.
4?
I didn't know there was more than one.
4.
I know
I
that.
saw
1
one.
is with Mal. Descendants 2 is with Uma. Descendants 3 is with some other girl who's like the Queen of Mean or something, and I can't remember. And 4 is turning red.
Holy
That's all I
crap.
can say.
But yeah, no, it's yeah,
Hey,
no,
Jay,
that's
guess
a
what?
great example.
Just for you.
Holy crap. Audience who are not watching it visually, Cove just gave Jay a big old thumbs up. It's definitely what happened.
Bleep me out. 3, 2.
But yeah, no. So yeah, I think we've really covered the breadth of it. Is there anything else we can add to just don't make every character redeemable?
Just don't do it. It kills the movie and it kills the suspense.
The only time I'm okay with redeemable villains is if it's funny.
Or like,
I love the big
or
one.
like there are obvious exceptions to this rule. Like we're not saying like you shouldn't do it ever, but just less of it.
Yeah.
Would be nice. And along that same line, and this is going to be my kind of controversial take, you don't have to make every hero have evil qualities as well. Some heroes can just be good.
I love it when a hero be slightly malicious. That's
controversial?
all.
Because a lot of people want to make heroic heroes edgy. Especially like your early 2000s heroes.
But it's kind of fun, you know?
Sometimes.
Same.
Sometimes. But just
It's
like
good, it's good.
we need pure evil villains, we also need pure heroic heroes. You know, like we need
That's
More
why
of your, like,
we
Superman.
watchers.
You're Superman! Whoa! Also, off topic, Crypto the Superdog is gonna be in the new Superman movie that James Gunn is making, and I'm so hyped for that.
There's
I
gonna be
like
a dog.
dogs.
I love it when there's a dog in a movie.
Yes. That movie gonna be so good, and we're definitely gonna do an episode about that at some point. But
I will probably never watch it.
Oh, Jay, that's depressing.
Jay, don't make you watch the old Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
You can't make me do anything.
You sure about that?
Yes.
But yeah, no. So I don't really
Yeah,
think we have
tell
anything
you
else to
something.
add to our Halloween special, which was just us ranting and raving about villains.
I should have worn my costume.
I actually should have also worn my costume. I just remembered that. Do we do a jump cut? Do we do the jump cut?
No.
Oh, okay.
Idiot.
Dang.
Stupid.
Holy
Dude,
crap.
who do you
So
think you are,
also,
bud?
an idea, right? You wear your costumes after Halloween. Like, cause isn't Halloween like this week?
Yeah, so this episode will
Yeah,
come
it's
out the
like
day
2
before
days.
Halloween.
Probably.
Just
Yeah,
wear it then.
assuming I don't, be incompetent and miss an episode again.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
But yeah,
it's okay. It's all
thank
right.
you for watching and listening to us rant and rave about villains. If
Yeah, no problem, man.
depending on what platform you're on, we are at our core a YouTube channel. So make sure if you're not watching it on YouTube, check it out on YouTube and subscribe to us there. Leave us a comment. And we just want to thank you all for watching till the end. And yeah, Jay's gone, and so are we. Y'all have a good one.
Yup.